Hi, Madam Chair, feel free.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our special call of the Strategic Planning Committee. I'm grateful for all of our colleagues who were able to join our committee meeting today. We are joined by Michelle Kennedy and Karen Witcher with Mary Dunn to lead today's important discussion on the new strategic plan. Ladies, give everybody a wave. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I ask everyone to work collaboratively today as we share our thoughts and ideas on the future. With that,
Madam Chair, we have to do a roll call first.
we do have to do a roll call. That was my call to order meeting.
Very good. All right. Chair Colbert.
Here.
Vice Chair Cato.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante.
Here.
Member Rutledge.
Here.
And Member Yu.
Here.
All right.
Do we have any public comment?
We do not have public comment.
Okay. As my chair remarks are the same as my call to order, I will take a motion to approve the September 5th Strategic Planning Committee minutes.
So moved.
Second. And do we have any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
And that passes. All right, next up is a discussion. This will be your strategic plan discussion led by the Very Dunn team. We're excited to have breakout sessions today and get a little bit of your thoughts. So if you want to, Jason, if you want to say anything.
Sure, I'll start us off if that's okay.
Yeah.
So hello, everybody. We're very glad to have our consultants here on site today. Bless you, Member Delassie.
Is that on the record?
Sorry, it is. My apologies.
You'll move.
Yeah. Very grateful to have them here today. I know it's going to be a longer day, but we're going to try to keep it as concise as possible. I think there's going to be a lot of good discussion in regards to that. They're going to start us off with a little bit of background, and we'll kind of get into some of the nuts and bolts. The key thing that I ask of all of you, and I think Chair Colbert and I have talked about this is an awesome opportunity to talk about the operations side that you guys are experts in. And some of those policy comments. So really a great time for you guys to make those comments. So with that though, I'll quiet and I'm gonna move off to the side and let Karen and Michelle take over from here. But I'm gonna share the PowerPoint and get out of the way.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's nice to be in person with you after seeing so many of your faces on the interviews. Really enjoyed those conversations, and it helped helped us put our environmental scan together, which we're going to share with you today. So I'm Michelle Kennedy. I'm a manager in Very Dunn's local government practice group. I lead our strategic planning service line for the company. I've been doing this work with local governments for 25 years. And I came to that work from government. So you can tell where my heart and my head are. Both of those are in this work. Done a lot of work in this area. We just finished Lake County's strategic plan and are working with some of the cities in Illinois. So really glad to be helping you with this process. We're going to move through the environmental scan part of this as quickly as we can so we can get you into your breakout discussions and get to the meat of it. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Karen, who's going to introduce herself, and then she's going to take you through the environmental scan.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. It's good to see some of you again after being here. I think it was your September 5th, that meeting. I'll just keep through the minutes of. Once again, I'm a senior consultant with Very Dunn. Spent 20 years working in local governments in the Charlotte region of North Carolina, including serving as an assistant county manager. So a lot of the work that you all do in Health and Human Services, I have direct experience implementing some of those federal pass-through programs at the local level. So a little bit about, as Michelle said, what we're going to do today. I'm going to flip through this quickly, I think.
Is it the down key?
I tried the down key.
And you tried enter.
Is there a little arrow bottom
Are
here?
Oh, something.
Do we have to say anything about it?
He's not in the page. I don't
Thank
think
you
he's.
so much.
Oh, do we need to
that.
accept Jim Zay, or is he?
Oh, wait,
Well,
we did not
it's not
see.
part of
Not on the
committee.
committee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Jim. Welcome. Members A. We did not see you there.
All right, so quickly, and when we walk out today, this is what we'll have accomplished together. We'll have gathered your input. We're not going to be writing theses today, but we're getting your policy input on the mission and vision of the county, the guiding principles, your priorities for where you want the operations to go, and then your goals. So that is what we're really here together to do today. Really quick, the ground rules. I like to say this is be nice to one another, be thoughtful. When we do the group work, one thing is when we're doing individual work, it's your personal experience, your personal reflections. When you're reporting out from groups, make sure you're using the we and the collaborative statements. That will really help our conversation and getting to where you need to be. Once again, this is where we are in the process. You all have seen this slide several times now, members of the committee. We're in the development today. Quickly, what is the strategic plan? It defines where you all want to go from a policy perspective. I can't say that enough times. This is really your policy vision for the next 5 years. You all are meeting today to provide that input in the plan development. Tomorrow, we have a full day retreat with your senior staff for them to hear what you all do today and figure out how they can implement your vision. So that is really important about how that all fits together from a policy perspective. This is another way of looking at that. Today, you're doing your mission, vision, guiding principles to the goals. And then tomorrow, the county staff will take a look at your work. They'll tweak and refine, and then they'll really get into the meat of the objectives and the performance measures, how they're going to implement what you all want to do, and then how they're going to measure results. The environmental scan, this is a slide that you have also seen several times. This is the foundation. The purpose is so everybody has the same information as we go into our conversations. And then once again, we've talked to quite a few folks. In DuPage County, we did a survey that had over 1,000 responses. We've done focus groups, we've done community forums. Some of y'all were at those community forums. So we've gotten a broad cross-section of qualitative input to help guide the community portion of the plan development. And that's really for you all to hear as you are making the decisions about where you think the county should focus. One of the things that we like to do is start this off and get the juices flowing before we do too much more talking, is really ask an open question. And I would love for all of y'all to answer this kind of around the room if you wouldn't mind. But what are some words that describe your experience living in DuPage County? Who wants to jump in first?
Heaven.
Heaven. I like that.
Wow. No, I'm kidding.
No,
you were
Upscale.
Upscale. All right. Who else?
Great education.
Great education.
That's 2 words.
Education.
Safe.
Well-resourced.
Well-resourced, yeah.
Great.
Great.
Accessible,
Accessible.
Inclusive.
welcoming,
Welcoming. What else?
Lots of amenities. I don't know.
yeah,
That's not one word.
Lots of amenities. That's words.
Amenities,
Like
that's
words.
good.
Amenities, yeah.
How about well-run?
Well run.
Great.
Yes, I will.
great leaders.
Great leaders.
Yeah, really.
All right, so anybody else on the
Clean.
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 It is really clean. I'm jealous of y'all's roads. And I mean that.
Environmentally conscious.
Environmentally conscious, okay. All right,
Yeah.
so we asked this question on the survey that we pushed out pretty broadly in the community. And this is what we heard from the community. So someone said safe. Look at that safe bar. Peaceful, I think, goes right along with safe. Beautiful, vibrant, healthy, interesting. Boring is, I think that's one of those beauty in the eye of the beholder things. Some people really like boring. So I think this is just interesting to see where your words align with those words, which is what we're looking for, really. Like, what are the themes? How do people feel about the community? How do you all feel about your community?
Yeah, I forgot to say healthy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll do So a little bit about the profile. This is what I'm just going to blaze right on through. In fact, I'll sit down and click through it. This is your basic demographic information, flat population, high median household income, high home value. Y'all are rated A on the Opportunity Index, which rates every county in the United States. These are where people are employed in your community. Not surprisingly, a lot of management, business and financial operations, office support.
Stay on this one for a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Architecture and engineering, a lot of traditional white collar professional jobs in this community, which is really what you would expect. And government jobs are embedded into these classifications depending on what type of job it is. So your finance director would be embedded with like professionals inside these. There's not a separate call out for government.
What is that, the bottom right, hot pink, 2.25%?
Construction.
It is,
No, next to that.
it's
Maintenance.
maintenance and repair.
Okay.
So it'd be like
If I can-
HVAC, car mechanic.
Karen, if I can
And so-
interject for 2 seconds, just so everybody knows, a PDF was emailed to you earlier this morning too, so you can zoom in, just as an aside.
And so management, office, administrative positions could be our school districts.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Question there.
I would beg to differ with more law, more time with the law.
Yeah.
US
I don't-
Bureau of Labor.
Medical is
Health
located,
diagnosing.
health diagnosing is spread across several. You'll have a very high number of doctors per capita in this community that's embedded in the opportunity index I just showed you. There's actually the backup data as part of this presentation that you can look at later if you're interested. So this is where people are working who live in DuPage County. This is a graph that shows home ownership. So a little less than 75% own their own home here.
Yes.
Can I
Number
just ask
the-
the previous, you don't have to go back to it, but the previous, does that mean people who reside in DuPage where they're working, even if it's like in the
Yeah.
city or outside of DuPage?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really important nuance. So you saw the service percentages were low for service occupations. So those people that are working at, the retail establishments are likely coming in from somewhere else to work in the county. This is a graph that shows rent versus own. So you have a high home ownership rate in your county, which is important when we get into some of the themes around affordability and housing, which came up significantly in the conversations we had with the community. Demographics really flat over the last 10 years. The one place where there's been a change is people selecting 2 or more races. You see that went up about 6%. That's an interesting category. I think more people select that now as the demographics change. And then the white population has gone down slightly. African American is the same over the last decade, and Asian has gone up as Hispanic. But generally, not a lot of change here in your demographics over the last decade. Age, this is a really important one for you all to look at as you're thinking about your operations and your policies and the services you all provide. If you look at 2010, the number of people who were in the 65 years and over category versus now, it has gone up pretty significantly in every other age category. It's gotten lower for the younger demographics. You have fewer children under 5, fewer kids under 18 or it's 19. So that's important when you think about the aging population, the built environment, adult protective services, some of those things that you all do as a core part of your function as a county. Just some brief slides I'll go through quickly. First, if you all don't know, you're blessed to have Impact DuPage. It is a phenomenal community indicator website. It's one of the best I've seen in the country that has great data around needs, especially social service type needs for your area. So what you'll see here, and I'll flip through about 3 of these, is the darker the color, the greater the need. So from a health equity standpoint, you'll see where there's the greater need. Food insecurity, I think this is interesting and important. I know y'all do a lot of funding of nonprofit partners in the food space. And so this is where some of the needs are related to that.
Is this within DuPage County, or I see
And
some
so
of it
it's-
going to other counties?
It's census tract, and census tracts and county lines, unfortunately, don't always match perfectly. So that's why it spills over.
So the darker colors are outside of DuPage?
No, the darker colors are here. I'll show you. So the county,
The needs assessment.
Yeah, so the county is this box right here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
The green
Yeah.
is the county border, and then the darker is where there's a greater need, those pockets of the community.
So the greatest need is in northern DuPage. Northern, eastern area,
Well,
Sorry,
southwest,
Central,
southwest.
Wooddale.
Yeah, Bensonville.
Yes, it's our district.
And then mental health index, this is where you see the need. But what's interesting about mental health, in this next slide I'm gonna show you,
That's our. No, I know it is, but is that for Ridge or is that like the?
Let's have them present and then we could take
So-
questions afterwards.
from a mental health standpoint, that previous slide you showed all the dark over here in this area where the need was. Over here, the dark means this is where people are getting services. So I heard some chatter around, there's just a great need for mental health services really across the demographic spectrum. What you're seeing in your community is people are receiving services, which is good. There may be less stigmas in those part of the area. There may be more therapists available, more options. So that's also as you're thinking about county services and the role y'all play in that space. What does that look like? And then the next graph up there to the right is people who have difficulty speaking English 65 and over. So when we think about the aging population, we think about the services you all provide, and then the people who may have trouble accessing those services if there are language difficulties for them to understand what those opportunities are. So just a few community indicators to share with y'all where certain things are. You are a well-resourced community. There are a lot of services available. But as someone pointed out in the community forums, I think the poverty rate's around 7%. That's still thousands of people, right? Because of your population. So
The other thing that these graphs point out, though, is that kind of potential mismatch in terms of where the need is the greatest and where the services are
Getting it.
located.
yeah.
And then you have some your transit challenges as well,
Mhm.
making it difficult for people to get to where the
Exactly.
services are. So there's a misalignment there.
Exactly. And then kind of the final, so this is brand new data for you. I think you have a dashboard now, but you just started the 211 call center in December of last year. So this is all the data from that call center through July when we initially pulled it. And if you'll notice, the most calls far and away around housing. Right above information services, you see utility assistance. That's a housing call too, right? Like that all kind of travels together. Income support assistance and transportation, and then mental health. That is what's driving the calls to the 211 center for you all. A little bit about what we heard from the community. You all have seen these again, so we'll go quickly. People think you'll do a great job with public safety in the courts. They think that you're really good managing the county's money, which is important. That gives you a lot of options. They think you're good at economic development, and they think you are accessible and effective government. Some things they feel you could do better: transportation, transit, available and accessible. And then awareness of county programs and services. We hear this frequently. People are like, gosh, the county does so much, but no one really knows all the things that they do. I think counties are uniquely struggling in that space, really across the country. And then they would like to see more environmentally sustainable practices and programs. So that's that chart. Biggest challenges: cost of living, housing affordability, and crime is another thing that we heard quite a bit. On a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the most confident that the county would be a better place to live. Most people are on that 3, they're not quite sure. And so we asked them why, if they were 3 or lower. And that what we're hearing is they would like to see a renewed focus on reducing crime. They're concerned about safety. They're concerned about affordability. They're concerned about the tax burden, specifically property taxes. They're worried about climate change, the mobility, transit, bike, and then they'd like to see more transparency, which I know you all already do quite a bit in that space, but they also shared that.
I'd like to make a comment here too. That list could be the same for many communities. That this trend of the 3 rating is pretty significant all over the country. And a lot of it has to do with people not really understanding where we are, right? It's this I'm not really sure. There's an optimistic part of me that thinks it could be better, and yet there are so many factors that are out of our control that it makes me less confident.
When I talk to people all the time, they're like, well, if we could control for X, Y, huge externality, I'd be at 5, but I just don't know, so I have to say it's 3. Which is
And your documentation has that a large percentage of our residents are over 65. And so those components come in as far as tax burden and all of that. So
They
that's why.
really do.
Yeah.
People, especially older folks, are worried about those property taxes and being able to stay in their single family homes. We did the ideas wall, very similar themes here, concerns about global warming and climate change. That actually showed up here more than any of our other methods of talking with folks. Housing, bike, pedestrian infrastructure, more transit, traffic safety really showed up on the idea wall. Y'all had 355 comments on this idea wall, by the way, which is quite a few. And that was something that people really sparked on. And then the whole issue of safety, whether it's perceived or real, and increases in crime and people's concern. They love it being a safe community, and they're afraid that may be eroding.
Yes, Member Rutledge.
May I just point out that I'm not sure if it came up in the community themes, but global warming is not the correct term there. It would be climate change, and that's a misnomer. So
Okay.
I think going forward, we should ban that
Okay.
term.
Use climate change.
Use climate change, absolutely.
Yeah. It's the preferred term.
This is a summary really of the forums, so new information since I talked to you last, community interviews, the interviews with you all. Here's what y'all do well. You have really strong reserves and you're fiscally sound. High standard of ethics. You have great staff with well-run departments, you're transparent. And people would like to see the county remain accessible, to the word that you use, safe and guided by good governance. Things that the county could do better, communicating priorities to staff, engagement with an increasingly diverse community. So as the community changes, making sure everyone has that engagement from the county, improving access to affordable housing, fostering transit options within the county, not into Chicago, but really within DuPage County is what people are naming, and then prepare for the impacts of climate change. Some obstacles, staffing. I don't think this is a surprise to you all, and really speaks to some of the work from a policy perspective, that recruitment, retention, and succession planning. The impact of unfunded mandates that come from either the state or federal government on your staffing resources, affordable housing, transportation, crime, property tax, the aging community, and then the increasing need for mental health and substance use disorder services. This slide, I'm sorry, is not terribly helpful to y'all because everyone says everything's important. I will be honest, I have not quite seen one that ends up looking like this, for better or worse. But I think that also what that says is this is a well-run place and people are generally happy with how things are going. There's not, other than some things that are really more external economy around housing and cost of living, and then the transportation issues, the core services that you all provide, I think people are generally pleased with. So here are the top themes that we really found from all of that. And so I have the social pinpoint, the survey we did, and the comments is people would like to see transportation options improved, more affordable housing options. They would like to see enhanced environmental sustainability efforts, and then keeping a focus on community safety. Those were the top themes that emerged from that part of the community engagement. From the interviews, which included you all, your senior staff, some of the division directors and larger departments, external folks like school superintendents, nonprofit executive directors, and then the community forums. The first bullet, I think, really sums up a lot of what we heard. Like, just keep doing the things that make this a really great place to live. I heard that in every single interview I personally conducted with folks in the community. And then the affordable housing and the transportation followed really closely behind. Maintaining the community safety came up, not in every conversation for me, but pretty broadly. And then there is this desire, as the community changes and becomes increasingly diverse, how does that change how the county provides its services, and what things does the county need to be thinking about from that lens? All right, so that was a blaze through of the environmental scan. And next, what I'm going to show you is we took all of that And we started a SWOT analysis. So that's your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges.
Yes, Member Gillespie.
I'm sorry, you could see it on my face. I was just curious, so I didn't know if it was right now. I know.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know if right now was the right time to ask. How many people completed the survey?
1,072.
Were you pleased with that number?
I was very pleased with that number. With the population of your size, while it's not,
900,000.
Yeah.
Member Gillespie.
Yes, we had 900,000 plus. Yes.
so with a population of your size, this is not intended to be a statistically valid survey. I want to be very, very clear about that. But when you start to get to numbers that high, you get within margin of errors that are pretty interesting. So I was very, very pleased with that number.
We were pleased with the overall engagement that we got from all the different channels. And what we look for in strategic planning are themes. And what we like to be able to see is alignment across all those different channels. When the themes start looking the same, then we know we've got the current state defined correctly. If we see lots of differences across those channels, then we have to probe more and find out. But the themes were, as you can see from the slides, the themes were consistent across all the channels.
Yes, Member.
So is the survey now closed? You guys are not looking for?
We're not looking for, I haven't officially closed it, but we're not checking it at this point.
I think at this stage that we probably wouldn't learn a lot new, right? Because the themes started to actually emerge pretty early in the process. And again, getting that high of a number of survey responses, even though it seems small for your community, again, it showed the alignment with all the other channels that we were seeking information from.
It feels like we have more of an alignment issue that we need to correct, matching services to the areas
Yes.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a really great way to say that. Absolutely.
And that might be your biggest challenge as a county, is how to fix that, because there's so many things involved in trying to fix that or make it better.
Okay, we are discussing that in the transportation committee.
That's great. Okay. Go ahead. So we have put together a draft SWOT, and we're going to want your input on this in just a minute. But what this is really a strengths, weakness, opportunities, and challenges. So where are you now? What's the current state? And what are the ways that you could put into your strategic plan to get to where you want to go? So another way of saying that, what are your strengths, the weaknesses? What are the opportunities that you can capitalize on? I've been really struck by the really strong nonprofit sector you have in this community. You're really, really fortunate with your nonprofit partners. That's a huge opportunity. And then what are the challenges? So this is our initial bite at the apple. And this is where we'd like some of your input about what should be added and removed. So you'll see we have, for the strengths, this is a really desirable place for both individuals and corporations to locate. It's really pretty here. You've got the forest preserves. There's a lot of natural beauty and outdoor opportunities, the high quality staff and well-run departments, financially stable with the AAA bond rating. That's really important. And that highly functioning nonprofit sector, especially for county government. A lot of time partnering with the nonprofits is the best way to really impact outcomes in the community with social services. So that's really great for you all. Some weaknesses. This is Illinois. You'll have a lot of local government units. It's mind-boggling really for someone from North Carolina who is, yeah, exactly. So that's the challenge that creates some extra energy and effort to really meet the needs of the community. You all have a limited ability to influence or impact town and village zoning. So if the community is saying we would like affordable housing options, you very quickly get into a zoning issue. And so that's a weakness for you all in that space. The regional transit issues are another weakness about how all that interplays together. That really ties into the government unit twos in some ways. And then you'll have a good portion of your revenues come from sales tax, which is great.
Majority.
But if there's a recession, and I know that this has been a very stable, even in recessions, the sales tax revenue has stayed okay, but that still is a weakness related to your financial condition. Opportunities. The community is changing. It's becoming more diverse. That brings new ideas, which is nice. The opportunity to collaborate with your really strong nonprofit sector to address housing and workforce development needs is an opportunity. An opportunity is to prepare for staff retirements and succession planning and thinking through that really intentionally. You can really touch not only what does your staff look like long-term, but what do the services look like? It's an opportunity to really dig into that from a policy standpoint. And then economic development initiatives are another opportunity you all have. This is I know your economic development folks are working on a strategic plan, but as the economy continues to evolve coming out of COVID, what does that mean for the traditional 1980s business work? What are corporations looking for? What does that mean for you all in the county services? There's an opportunity in that. And then the challenges. So the community is becoming more diverse. So that means you need to provide different types of services in a new way. And sometimes those conversations can be difficult. Housing availability and affordability. The overall community property tax burden. I know that y'all are a very small sliver of that property tax bill, but that overall burden is a challenge for you all when it comes to funding new initiatives. The limited transit options within the county. And then having enough staff to support state mandates that come down, that can be a challenge. So I'll stop there.
Karen, I had a question.
Yes,
I have a question. I just wanted, how are people talking about housing affordability? Were they talking in terms of subsidized housing, or were they talking about diverse price point index housing? Those are two different things.
Yeah, it's all of it. It's that my kid grew up here and they want to buy their first home and they can't afford to live in DuPage and they can't. It's the service workers have to commute a long distance because they can't afford to live in DuPage County or the subsidized AMI type housing. So it's really the whole spectrum of the affordability from a housing standpoint. And then the types of housing.
Okay.
And what does that mean?
Were property taxes brought up? I mean, we
For
have
the-
a very little sliver of that.
Yeah, for the aging population, yes. So the people who own their homes, especially outright, they paid off their mortgage, but then that increasing property tax bill, that was another thing. So my question for you all, what did we get right? What should come off? What should we add? How does this sit with you all? Does it feel right? Is there a big gaping hole?
I went to
Member,
thank you, Chair.
Member Cahill, sorry, for the record.
I went to the Elmhurst Community Forum and it was very interesting. But one of the things when they brought up increased mental health services, I felt like a lot of the people did not know what we have done or what we are doing now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think communication is key for the county to get out there and say, this is what we're doing in environmental committee. This is what we're doing with mental health. They don't know about our new crisis recovery center and what that means and how that can help the people of that area, or how we've invested so much in the food banks and what we're doing to provide for food insecurity in the county. So I think the communication was lacking.
Need a PR person for what we're doing.
Yeah,
Right.
that engagement. I ask that question a lot. How does the community engagement work here? And I agree, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, I would love to see.
Member, my brain's not working. Member LaPlante.
I would really love to see, piggybacking on those comments, a more formal approach for, I think that board members can work with staff to get information out.
Okay.
I know we do these newsletters, but they're not, super informative, and they're photo ops. I think we need less photo ops. In my opinion, we're very photo op heavy. Picture of all of us standing there smiling. But people would like to know more about what we would do. I personally would love, like an idea would be, if you chair a committee or whatever, you get to write up a synopsis, go over it with staff. That's the information being sent out. I understand we need pictures to grab people's attention, but we really could do a much better job.
On engagement.
Member Galassi.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Member LaPlante just said. Thank you. That I think those newsletters don't get to the right people. Like, I don't really think they get to our constituents. I'm not even sure who gets them. So yeah, I think that we need to do a better job.
Right, but that's just not enough.
Member, actually, who was first?
Go ahead. Whoever was first.
All right, member.
Shorzy?
What is the problem? This is so dumb.
This is, I'm right on board with what I'm hearing, and as Chair of Human Services, I just took bilingual staff out to Casa Michoacan and the St. Andrew's Lutheran Church, because I'm certain the Spanish-speaking community probably knows even less of what the county offers. And that was what it was about. And our community services staff and the DuPage Health Department spoke Spanish to over 100 people. And many of them, according to community services, it's their first time experience with our community, so with DuPage County, really, community services, so.
Member Nelson?
I agree. I think board members should have an option to do a submission into the newsletter for their district for sure. On the other issue of housing, and again, it is a very muddied water unless you've been in real estate for over 20 years, you realize affordable means something different to everyone. However, in my previous job on the city council, we actually looked into the whole issue and came up with some real good options to be able to increase that inventory. And we're able to work with developers to be able to move that forward. Subsidized housing is a little different than workforce housing and mid-range first-time buyer housing. So those conversations need to be bigger conversations, not unless people just want one. But for the overall public, I think they want to see a lot. And I know that there are opportunities and ways of doing it because we have done it in the past. And that would alleviate or at least help with respect to the housing issue.
Member you?
Thank you. So kind of in line with this, but it's more on the flip side. I know that we've been talking about communication as an opportunity, but I also really see it as a weakness that we have currently in the sense that we have many languages being spoken in DuPage County, but that it's not provided in any of our materials, you know, that kind of thing. I actually serve on the Elmhurst Senior Citizens Commission, and there's something that we've been talking about that we update, I think, every 2 years, and it's something called the Pocket Pal, which provides, you know, all the senior services that's provided within the city. And I've been asked twice now about DuPage County and what kind of services we have for senior services and that kind of thing, and whether there would be a handbook or something in writing to provide to seniors. So I think there's multiple people who really do need, and especially like, again, like Member Shorzy was saying, human services is such a huge part of what the county does, and yet there are many populations that don't know what the county is doing, and that needs to be communicated to everyone. And I don't think online is going to be enough.
Is there IT person here? Because we do actually have multiple language options on our county
of course.
website.
So our website is accessible, of
yeah,
course,
that's
but
great.
not everybody is able to.
So they can
necessarily
transfer
access
that over. That would be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Switching to challenges with regards to climate resiliency, I think one of the challenges is that we need to be more proactive when it comes to flooding, reducing our heat index, keeping our green space, and coming up with maybe more strict regulations with regards to land development, taking away, you know, paving everything over in DuPage County. So it's something that we probably need to be more proactive with if we want to preserve what we have now.
You said flood control, land development. There were two others.
Heat index,
Heat index.
carbon emissions.
Yep.
And I think Member Galassi was raising. Member Galassi.
Yeah, I'm going to also speak to a challenge. I think that particularly in my district, I don't know if Lucy would agree with this, but we are definitely dealing with many more crime issues than we have in the past. And because we're so close to Chicago, and the increasing crime in Chicago is definitely affecting our community safety. So that is a concern constituents have brought to my attention numerous times in the last 18 months. So.
I love seeing a lot of comments about climate change and environmentalism. I feel like we are not even remotely tapping into our potential there. I'm on the committee, but I really think we need to really remove all sort of personal relationships and really look at our partner for the environment. Because there are other groups that are in DuPage County that are way more aggressive in terms of dealing and addressing climate change and how we can go about it. And I feel like we are falling behind in our approach. So that's an issue that is hugely important to me, and I think we can be more, take a lead. I feel like we're a little bit behind, we're following instead of being leaders in addressing climate change.
Member Garcia.
Yeah, and to follow up with member LaPlante, couldn't agree with you more. And so member Rutledge and I have been talking about this, and we're talking about updating. There's a 2011 sustainability plan. We're now going to be updating it to 2023, showing how on the campus we've been updating things from LED lighting to solar panels to, so we're going to show how we're leaders here on the campus. But this again is to be information that we get out. So we have to make sure, and going back to the newsletter, you know, as the chair of the Public Works, you know, making sure that that information gets out. So that will be coming to the county board like in around January, I think, is when they think they can get everything together. But we're making steps, but I don't think anybody knows what we're doing here. So if we're leading, we're not letting anybody know what we're doing to lead.
Yeah, and I meant not just within our campus, but countywide.
Right.
Like in terms of, I do think we need to really take a look at our partner, which is scarce right now. And I think we need to see if we have, you know, I think there's room for scarce, of course, but we might, I think it's worth looking into other partners that have a more broad approach. Because right now we're focused on the consumer, basically, like how do we all handle our environmental responsibilities as opposed to the people who are producing, i.e. businesses, that sort of thing. So I feel we could probably catch up a bit faster to the times.
Yeah, I
Member
would like
Guston,
to,
or
I'm sorry.
Member Rutledge, Member Guston was next, and then I'll.
that's fine.
I agree. I think there's an opportunity, though, to do something more in line with like maybe a grant program, where if people want to participate, there's money there to be able to do so. It's the getting the money into the grant program, which a lot of times is through donations by people who are very passionate about, you know, global warming and about alternatives to global warming. We do have to be a little careful, though, if we're talking about affordable housing, workforce housing, those then will up the price on that cost of housing. And so now we're kind of shifting the burden, the dollar burden, onto something else. And so now you're not hitting that target. So there's a fine line and a balance that can be made. It's just, it just takes time and it can be a little complicated.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding that comment, I agree. We are currently asking ISACO to put together an environmental committee so that this all kind of came from the ComEd trip that we took, and I met a Kane County board member who is my counterpart, and it was her suggestion that we get all that together. I also would like to compile the entities within the municipalities and the townships that have an environmental, so that we can kind of get in front of that. So I'm already thinking in those terms.
Thank you. Member Cahill.
Switching gears, I'm thinking about the sales tax revenue, and as we know, that's our largest revenue source in our general fund. So what do we do going forward? What's our challenge to make sure that we attract and keep new businesses in DuPage County? That is key. That is the most important thing that we need to do to make sure that this weakness here does not occur if there's a recession. So we just, I think, choose DuPage, our partnership with them, economic development. I'm not sure, I'm not on that committee, but I'm just saying that is make DuPage County has to be a friendly business environment. We have to attract new businesses. And there's all the new areas along the corridor up there. And we have to really, you know, that's my point, attract new business.
I agree with you. Member Cahill, we worked on this through the diversity inclusion program when Chairman Cronin was here, and we developed this program where we're looking at MBEs, DBEs, and also minority-owned businesses to tap into those newer resources and newer communities to pull in newer businesses. So I love that idea. I agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. And hopefully we build on that, you know, and it takes time, but yes, I agree with you. The word. Member Galassi.
And I'm gonna piggyback on Member Cahill's comment. I also believe that economic development is critical to maintaining all of the positive attributes that DuPage has. And in order to maintain a positive environment for companies to want to stay in and come to, I think crime and keeping crime low is the most important thing. Because I know companies are leaving Chicago for that reason, so.
Member Gusta.
And I agree with my counterparts. One of the ways in which possibly to do that, to bring those new businesses or to allow our current businesses to expand is to streamline what other permitting process or approval processes that we might have to have through the county to be able to make it more user-friendly so that they can get from point A to point B to be able to run their businesses.
This is great, incredible feedback. Y'all are starting, I don't know, Michelle, feel the difference in kind of where we're going rest of the day. So I think with that, anything last burning that we should add to the SWOT analysis from your standpoint before we move on to our next?
And we'll be sharing those updates that you made to this with the team tomorrow. So they have that information built out as they contemplate the objectives that they will create based on the direction we get from you today, so.
Yeah, I just have one more thing to add. So since you're talking to senior staff tomorrow,
Yeah.
I just think there's a component missing with regards to climate change. We don't have staff that really has the expertise to pull down the funding from federal acts that are, you know, all
All
these
that
new
money that, yeah.
resources. We don't have the staff to do that. They're so busy already. So we might want to look into hiring somebody to, you know, do the grant writing and to coordinate with all the different departments. And then also, or just look into a consultant to do that. But
So that expertise piece, the really laser focus.
Right.
We started a bit with Choose DuPage. They set something up because there was not even a line item in the budget for that. So I really kind of raised that flag, but I agree with you 100%. We can't add any more to the staff's plate, but we definitely need to nuance and zero in on this. We really need to do better.
The other challenge I would say is that there is no control when it comes to the laws or the mandates that we have to abide by.
Yeah.
The county, when we're talking about crime, we have changes in the law where certain segments of the population would be happy with the results of it, and that does affect our businesses. And, you know, there's certain rules in place, you know, but the county can't change state law. That would be at a state level. So that's one of the challenges that we have to.
This is really good, and what I'm starting to hear as you percolate in this conversation, which I think is really positive, is that connection between what's in the budget, what are the staffing resources, where y'all want to go, because you've got to get that alignment to make the plan actionable. So I'm going to skip over this. We just had a great conversation about what stood out, learn anything new, and kind of some of the themes. Anything else y'all would like to add before we dive into our next activity?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, proceed.
All right. So Michelle?
All right, so there are kind of 4 component parts we're going to focus on first. And this is kind of, they fit together sort of like puzzle pieces that are intertwined and are interdependent. We start with your mission statement. Is your purpose for being? And one of the things that you'll see is if you start to look at county mission statements, city mission statements, is that they look quite a bit alike. And the reason for that is they all have a similar purpose for being. So we try to find a way to make your mission statement be unique to you, but you'll see some similarities between those. Your vision is where you're going. It's where you want to get to. And we're kind of focused in the context of this planning process over a 5-year period. So we want the vision to be aspirational, but we also want it to be achievable. And so we're trying to strike that balance in this strategic planning process to have you think big about where the county could be in 5 years, but then not so big that we can't get there in 5 years. And so the staff will really help with the framing of objectives that are going to be shorter term in nature, that are going to move you towards that longer term vision. The guiding principles are how you carry out your mission. It's the way in which you want your government staff and the government itself to behave as it conducts business in the community. So we'll take a few minutes and look at what you have already and for all of these three things and see what changes you might like to make. The strategic priorities are those broad focus areas that you want to focus on for the next few years. And those are the kinds of categories I'm thinking of are safe community, robust infrastructure, sustainability and climate resilience. Those are big, broad categories. And then we develop more specific 5-year goals to go with those broad categories. So we're going to be looking at all 4 of these things today. And then the last activity that we will do is we will really try to get your idea for, once we've identified those priorities, 5 years from now, what does it look like if we've made progress in that priority? Questions about this? This is how the whole plan fits together. We'll have the vision statement at the top, which is that broader, longer term aspirational state that you're trying to get to. The mission statement, which bolsters that with your purpose as a county government. And then we hope you'll have somewhere between 1 and 5 strategic priorities. You get to 6 or 7, and that's starting to diffuse your ability to focus. And as I said, we'll develop goal statements for each of those priorities, and then we'll have the objectives and the performance measures below. So today you are focused on the what. That's what we're trying to get from you today. And tomorrow the staff will take the what that you give them and develop the how. And then at the base of the house are those guiding principles that serve as the foundation for how the county does its work. So I mentioned this, a mission statement, it describes your purpose, it's your reason for being, it's a public statement of the contribution you're trying to make to your community. And so it's going to answer those questions, why do we exist and what do we do? So we put up here on the slide your current mission statement. It's kind of long. I don't think that's a subjective statement. It's kind of long. It is descriptive.
It sums it up.
It does sum it up. There's a lot in there.
It's a run-on sentence.
So it is. And
This
so one
is-
of the things I'd like to point out is there's some descriptors in there that really go to your guiding principles. Like when describing things like cost effective, innovative, oftentimes we see those show up in guiding principles because that's kind of how you're going to do your business, right? So I think there's an opportunity here for tightening this up a little bit. But what I'd like to get as a first reaction is, does that accurately describe your purpose as a county government? And if it doesn't, what's missing? And then maybe further than that, what seems like added verbiage that maybe doesn't need to be there? Half of it.
Most of
Doesn't.
it, it's terrible.
So call out words in there that you think are, see, I think your mission statement has some guiding principles peppered in there, and I also think it has a little bit of vision peppered in there.
Providing innovative, cost-effective services doesn't really say anything. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of, fluff.
The last statement after the comma, I think really starts to get at it, right?
Mhm.
And the part about acting as a leader with local and regional partners, county governments don't do things alone, right? They need to do things with their municipal partners. There's some things you do on your own.
Passive voice.
True, it is passive.
I agree with you. I like the promoting a high quality of life for all residents. Like, I feel like that is a good start, a summary of all the other things that we're saying.
Yeah.
Of all the other important aspects of why we're all here.
Member Rutledge?
I just think that the first sentence, DuPage County government will work to ensure. Are we going to do that in the
Exactly.
future? Are we not already
Right.
doing that? That's-
Passively.
Yeah,
Member.
So you want more active, direct.
we
language
do.
in
We
the
are
statement.
ensuring that.
Exactly. Ensures.
Member Evans?
I'm gonna copy what Naperville does.
Shut up, I wrote it. Well, I love it because it's so short. It's, it's a great, we make sure that we will work to ensure that, DuPage County is a great place to live, work. And in Naperville, we say play, right? But I think keeping it just one short mission statement saying DuPage government will work to ensure that DuPage County is a desirable place to live, work, and raise families. And that's good enough, I think, for as far as a mission statement, and then we can add more to the other.
The vision and the guiding principles.
Member LaPlante?
So things like, not acting as a leader with, you just say leading.
Leads,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
I would even use,
all proactive.
or leading. I like active verbs. We're not going to lead, we are already leading.
Act
So
the
we are
passive
leading.
language,
Yeah.
make it
Oh my
active, make
God.
it direct.
Cut it by 50%, take out the passive use.
Yep.
And use
And
active
really
verbs.
pare it down
Yeah.
to the essence of what that's trying to say.
Member Yoon?
Okay,
Yeah.
good feedback.
Member Yoon and then Member Shorzy.
Thank you, Chair. So, the whole will work to ensure, I think it should just be, again, the active voice of
I
strive.
put a square around active.
We're striving to do these things, obviously, but I just want to focus on the very first part where it says a desirable place to live, work, and raise families where all are welcomed, accepted, and valued. So I really do appreciate that. I think it talks about diversity, equity, inclusion, but I just find it to be ironic because we don't have an equity coordinator at the county level. We don't have a DEI department or even one staff member. So
We should get the update for that because we did put
Yeah.
out a
Right.
job posting for that.
Yeah, and it's been something I think that we've been working on for several years now because I think this mission statement came out 4 years ago or something, right? So I'm just wondering if there's more that we can do, or I don't know if we really need welcomed, accepted, and valued as opposed to just valued, perhaps.
Again, pare it down
Right.
to just the
Right.
essential.
Member,
Right.
I just wanted to correct that, Stephen. We haven't been working on it for several years. The job posting was done about a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
So when this all started.
But when did this mission statement come out?
Diversity and inclusion imperative was passed 2019. However, the development of getting a diversity inclusion officer wasn't decided until years later.
Right, so we're just a little bit behind on what our mission statement is what I'm saying, and I'm hoping that we'll do more in that area going forward, because I think the discussion is, how do we do this going forward, right?
Member Shorzy, and then Member
So, sort of agreeing and modifying what I've heard today, but short, concise, or a mission statement is where you have to be.
Yeah.
All these other words will go into the vision statement.
That's right.
So I love live, work, and raise family because that's sort of DuPage County's MO.
Yeah.
But, and then on top of that, I like promoting a high quality of life for all residents. So I could see something like DuPage County government will work to ensure that this is a desirable place to work, or live, raise family, and have a high quality life for all residents. Boom, you're done.
Yeah.
So being a leader, being diverse, cost effective, that's all goes into the vision statement
Or the guiding principles.
or the guiding principles
Yep.
to justify that one sentence.
Yep.
Member Guston.
Thank you. Yes, the top portion of the mission statement can be concise and better written. And I think that would be a very wonderful mission statement. The bottom portion of it speaks more to the vision. And I do actually agree that innovative, cost-effective services is something that residents look for and businesses look for in the vision. And also, we need to be consistently thinking about the fact that we not only have residents, we have businesses. So whatever we put in that, we need to make sure that we're speaking to them also. As far as a diversity coordinator, we initiated one at the city of Naperville. We have one currently. She's wonderful. The difficulty is, what do they do? What's their job? What's their role? How effective are they? And so when you're going down to hire somebody, it's not always easy. Because sometimes you don't even know what that position is going to look like and how effective that position is going to be, because the reason you want that position is you want it to be effective. So I think this is a great start and there's a lot more work to be done, but everybody's at the table, so it's great.
Member Cahill.
Thank you.
I think.
Were you,
yes.
I didn't see your hand.
Yeah, he was first.
Okay.
I guess I'm thinking in way, I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah.
I should know that. If I was to just look at that, it looks to me like we should take everything up to raise families and get rid of everything in the middle and drop down to where it says acting as a leader. We took those two and put them together and massaged it. I think that would be a good statement.
Thank you.
And I think it kind of follows. the line.
Member Childress, it's funny because that's basically what I was saying. I really think we need that acting as a leader. We're the second largest county in the state of Illinois. We are a leader. We have to work with other counties. We have to say that as part of our mission statement, to be a leader with local and regional partners and anticipate issues. And that's a critical part of our mission as
We took the
DuPage County.
beginning of it,
So I think that has
put
to
those two
stay in
together
there.
and then massage it.
Yeah.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Again, it's that passive acting. We are
Yeah,
doing
we're
this.
gonna
We're
change
not
that.
acting.
We hear you.
We
We hear you.
Yeah.
Point taken.
I was ready to take that.
It's like sitting
all
in
together.
front of
We
the
don't-
points
We don't
right on.
like passive language.
A leader is not passive.
But I agree, leader is not passive.
Member Schwartz.
So, look, we have 18, and they're not all here, but we have 18 people, and though we're very close on some things, but we're not quite as close on other things, and you guys, I'm assuming, deal with this on a
We do.
regular basis.
We do. So we've got great feedback from you. It's exactly the kind of feedback we were hoping for. And what Barry Dunn will do is we'll craft a couple of new alternatives to a mission statement for you and bring it back to you, okay? And what will help is when you can see a revised mission with a revised set of guiding principles and a revised vision together, see how it all hangs together. So let us take this feedback and we'll work on some new mission statements for you to react to.
Member Rutledge.
When was this all done? Do we know? So is it 5 years?
So this would have been, the initial plan, not the amended plan in 20, and I believe if I remember, it's 2015, but 14 or 15.
Okay, yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a minute.
So I have a question about the breakout sessions. Are we going to, is this paper for the breakout session?
Yes, ma'am.
For later on in the, okay, for the meeting? Okay.
Yeah, and then we have these too.
If you use whatever you.
So I think, do we need a break?
Let's take a little bit
You want to take a short break before we get into your small group breakouts?
I think
on
we
the
just
vision?
go.
Yeah, you know what, yes, we want to keep going.
Okay, keep going, and if you need a break, take a break and come back in. Okay, we're just. gonna-
Anybody drinking a can
I'll
of
give you
pop,
guys 5
pull off the
minutes.
top and give those to me.
Oh,
please.
5 minutes.
Are we doing breakouts for the vision? Or are we doing large group?
Carrie's like,
That's fine.
all right.
Sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but.
No, you're not. I'm supposed to identify
I did the
everybody,
wash.
so I have to call it for the record.
So rolling right on along, the vision statement, that's that, where are you going? What's the future in 5 years for DuPage County? It defines your desired future state and it's the direction of where you want to go. It's really the North Star. Everything comes back to that vision. What are you all trying to accomplish? And where do you want to be? So here's some example vision statements from some other counties. You'll see Lancaster County is a leading center of culture. Center of culture, education, agriculture, and commerce that thrives through dynamic growth, thoughtful leadership, and diversity of its people, both rural and urban communities. So this is that stake in the ground, right? Who are you? Where are you going? What do you want to be? And it has vision statements also tend to have a lot of what I like to call the Chamber of Commerce rah-rah language in it, right? Weld County, Colorado, theirs is they want to be a model county government. that delivers excellent services and enables citizens and communities to pursue prosperity, which I think is interesting language, and quality of life in ways that is accessible, inclusive, and forward-thinking while honoring their Western heritage and respecting individual liberties. So there's a lot packed into that vision statement, and to the question about dynamics between political bodies. I feel that in that vision statement.
Oh, they're definitely there.
Yeah.
I worked with
Like-
Weld County.
So that's an example about how you can get to a place where you have a common vision, even with different perspectives.
And just, I'd like to say even Weld County's is a little long
Yeah.
for my preference as a facilitator of these processes. Lancaster's length is a little bit closer to where we like to see our clients get to.
Yeah.
We couldn't get Weld County to budge to make it short.
But you know what? They got what they got.
They
So,
did.
Anyway. So what we're gonna do now is this is where we get into our small group brainstorming sessions. So you'll see on the left, there's a focus question. You're gonna do some individual work and then group work. So I'm gonna walk through what this exercise looks like. And then we'll separate y'all out like the old fashioned grade school method of the count off. So the focus question is, think 5 years from now, what is your desired future for DuPage County? What do you want to see DuPage County? Where do you want to see the county in 5 years? How do you want it to feel like? How do you want it to be described? What's been achieved? What do you keep the same? What would you like to see different? So what you're going to do is you'll take a few moments to reflect individually, and that's what these white cards are for. You write your individual initial thoughts down. And then you'll come into a group, and Michelle, I'm sorry, I should have grabbed the notes. You got them. So after you take your individual time, then you will come together in your small group, share what you all said individually, and then pick a scribe to document your group ideas together. So
Is it okay if we just organize and give 5 minutes for their individual thoughts, and then when 5 minutes is done, they can get into their groups? Okay, I'll set a timer. It'll be fun.
We're not quite ready.
Let
We're
me-
not right now, but.
Yeah. So, we are wanting one idea per sticky notes and write really big. So this is not the treaties where you write really small. Three to five words go on this in the Sharpie marker so that we can see them.
And one idea per card.
Yep.
Not this. We have clients that write all their ideas on a card, and it needs to be landscape, horizontal. Okay.
Right?
How specific are we getting?
I don't know what I'm.
It's that future casting, right? So what is your vision?
Where do you want the county
Yeah.
to be in 5 years? What do you want to have achieved?
Yeah.
So, okay,
But it's a
so that
single,
can be specific.
yes,
Yeah.
it's a single, what do you want to have achieved in 5
So-
years? It's a single idea per card. So we're not limiting you on the number of ideas you come up with.
So if you want it to be a safe community, you could write safe, see, and then that, I guess that, so.
I'll take that one.
I knew somebody was gonna pick that one, so I went ahead and put it up.
We're really just writing like a single word,
Or five.
like everything we've been shouting out, or, I mean, that doesn't say anything to me, safe. Like, do you mean, can you please expand upon this?
We would like descriptors with that.
Yeah.
So, if you wrote safe big, maybe 2 words about what does that mean?
That's what
5
I'm
years.
saying, yeah, so
Right.
just write one word, that's not really gonna get us anywhere,
Yeah,
right?
not more than 5 words.
Okay.
Okay, it says one idea per sticky note, so you can see that there's 5 words there. That's about as much as you can fit on a sticky note. So we're gonna go deeper than that, though, when we go to the goal statements, when we identify the priorities and go to the goal statements. Remember, we wanna create a collective vision, right? And that collective vision can't be 300 words, but I think you see all the ideas that go up on the wall, you'll see the potential for what this vision statement can look like. But start with your own ideas.
Yeah. Own ideas first, and pass around some paper that will work,
What's the white paper for?
the individual
To
idea.
write your
part.
individual ideas.
Individual ideas on the white paper.
And we'll,
And we're doing 3 groups.
doesn't matter, just, we're gonna give you 5 minutes to brainstorm your own
No,
ideas.
that.
So there's no
do
limit.
this first, and then drill it down for the.
Yeah, there's
Sorry, I have a whole
like,
thing.
whoever needs a pen, let us know.
They're all pens right here. Who needs one?
Are we bringing a sandwich? Doing the big, the cards were just doing 5 words, but here we go.
Anyone else need a pen?
So, yeah.
Just we're writing as many of our.
Yeah, many of your own individual ideas as you can, just a couple.
Yeah,
couple
no
brief-
limit, no limit.
Yep.
No limit.
You wanna start the timer?
Yeah, we'll start the timer.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And then we'll count off to get your groups.
or we've got the clock up here too, so
We
5
do.
minutes.
Yeah.
You can take my seat.
Oh, there it is. That's right.
And I think we can just post the stickies up here. When they're finished.
You're supposed to be ready now. Where do you see DuPage now?
About 30 seconds.
All right. Story now. What you think?
Ready? Do you want your last 30 seconds?
Where do you see DuPage?
All right. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna count off parade school style and get into small groups and talk about what y'all have done. So we'll have, would you like to start as number one?
Oh, you want me to be?
Yeah, so,
Okay, do you want to do 3 in a group or
Yeah.
4 in a group?
count off by 3. So 1, 2, 3.
2.
I'm 3.
1,
2.
3.
1,
2.
3, 1, 2. All right,
There's no 3. Do you want me to step out so we have a even?
it's up to you.
No, you're participating.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do this. Let's
Getting
have,
off that easy side.
since you're the chair, we'll
It's
let
my
you
meeting.
stay where you are. So the 1s will meet here. The 2s, if you'll kind of go over in that corner, and the 3s can be over here.
Okay.
So spend 3 to 5 minutes
Ones are
sharing
over here, guys.
with one another, and then this is where you write on the sticky notes.
Members.
Each group's gonna get a different color, and you need to pick a scribe.
Yeah.
Preferably someone with good handwriting.
So we can read it.
Yeah, what we're doing is, and then as you're talking, pick who's gonna report out.
Me, who else?
I'm a 2.
Because Greg and I are the only 3.
We're over here.
It's you and I, Greg.
Just me and you?
Yeah.
I'm over there.
Oh, no, Patty too, I think, right?
Are you a
I'm
3?
a 3.
You could write.
I got it right.
I thought it was.
Like, I was writing down my road.
No, what we're supposed to do.
What do we want the county now? Does feel like?
We talk about what we think we'd like to do in 5 years, and then we.
I did write mine.
Yeah.
Now,
So it's
like
like
transportation.
Transportation's on your list. It's also on mine.
Now,
It's not on my list.
reducing it
So,
to just the
I know it's important, but I
So there's
think
different things, and then we just write down what that is, you see.
So you might put right out 2 or 3 of these.
Right, or 4 or whatever. So what I
So first of all, safety's number 1.
And I had that on my list, so.
I print better than I.
Because I feel like we're
All right.
in the right direction already.
And so it's more of a vision to make sure we understand.
And it certainly was.
It was.
And it was really something that the study showed all.
Culturally competent.
It's just this gas.
Everybody share their ideas.
For instance,
I did better
the
transportation.
county
The next day cars broke
board,
into. And it's just like, it's
put on their Facebook page.
And
Technology is
And
just.
I had somebody
we're right on
who's
to
trying to contact me, and she's like.
I'm good with it.
Okay.
You know, things I wrote
So we're supposed to.
were
Right.
things I feel like
And I think that's, you know, for a college student.
at the moment, but if you go
That
to
shouldn't
the
really be.
whole, everyone thinks we say, but it's still something they say, so I guess.
so that my vision is
It
business
literally-
strong, you know.
And I had that also.
Because of the sales tax
Depends on
and how we
what
have
I
to
do.
bring in new businesses,
Friendly.
business-friendly environments.
Yeah.
I'm good, again, I feel like we're strong at that, so I,
If you live in.
but I'm good, yeah.
None of that.
Brought up
Okay.
helping to do that. And the third one I have is just kind of our service end of it, taking care of the vulnerable
Right,
seniors,
and.
Which I do have, that, helping those.
mental health,
to piggyback on what you
And,
said,
you
I know
know, and if we can get it tied into that, I was thinking if we can, you know, the
That
opioid
don't
crisis is going
think
up,
that
up,
they-
up, up, and I know you're on hope. And, I'd like to see that come down as a vision. So I thought this would be all one, but maybe it should be separate, I don't know. Yes, but if we do it.
I would classify that as the two, taking care of helping those in need or social services.
Right, so would you, for substance, use, maybe mental health and substance use?
I would, that's a
Fine.
good, but I also don't wanna sacrifice.
No, but then there has to be taken care of
Yeah.
seniors, seniors. Maybe that goes into your.
It does,
food
it does,
insecurity.
yeah.
You know, because the seniors are the ones that are.
we were told.
What about fiscal responsibility? Is that a value that you feel that residents would want to
Yes.
sustain and keep it as a vision of the county? Because county's always been known to be fiscally responsible.
I didn't write it down, but I think.
Very much like, we want them to be business friendly, we want them to be safe, these are things we.
So what I said was.
No.
Well, you're right.
Fiscal responsibility.
Put it down there because people are.
And what that means to me
That
is.
should be on
Door,
everybody's
right.
list.
When you
Cultures.
They're so upset about increases in costs everywhere, and so, yeah.
And it was because a constituent representative
Most
contacted me,
people,
and there was a Facebook post from
again, my
DuPage County, and it said,
perception,
Dana
people
is supposed to be Indigenous people.
Sounds like we have.
So that's just one
in the right
kind of tiny
way.
example. But my point is
Wow,
that the
then
diversity
you are
is not safe in DuPage County, and we saw that.
You are, because at least they know you're working towards being
Has doubled since
fiscally
2010.
responsible,
And
even though they realize, yeah.
even, you know, the census, we talked about like
And that
30
comes
to
from and that was one of the things that I thought was really important, because if we don't have adequate communication,
For all those
then
reasons,
it's,
it really is
no
important to say that.
transparency
Yeah, in
there.
5 years, will we be,
They didn't know.
will we
They didn't
understand
know
more
what
about
ad shelter, permanent ad
in our
shelter.
own
I'm like,
county
no,
and
there's
how will
permanent
we?
ad shelter.
My
Don't you
goal
guys know
has been
that?
to try to
Give
use
more.
the
More
social services.
communications
Yeah.
and and communication.
So I don't know if we want to
So I'll
include in
put
our
both.
little
I
idea.
like that. I like that.
Your list and then carry those over. Then we could put it
I didn't
together.
make
It's
it.
really,
Yeah, I know. Okay, so
But
great.
I guess-
No, no, you guys don't understand. We just invested
I
X number of
agree.
million dollars in this. Crisis control. We need more mental health services. Yeah, when we're doing that, you know, they don't know what we're doing. I mean,
So I
There's
just-
very few people I know.
So this can all be one word, or one idea, or multiple ideas. My thing is welcoming, hopefully competent, and inclusive. That's what it is.
Active.
So then the next one I had was climate friendly, innovative, and systemic in approach.
One extreme or the other
Yeah.
sometimes, so that you have to get in the middle
Paying
somewhere.
too much attention or not enough.
Yeah.
What else do you have on your list?
So
I
we're gonna write it down after we go through ideas.
I have high level services, which if it's.
So I should be describing
No,
them.
it's not, I guess not yet.
So
And then,
that's something we want to change.
the third one I said was focus on good policies, all residents, affordable for
That's a
people,
good way
and then the
of-
last one was
I
accessible.
mean,
to
that's
students.
very
And that
broad.
goes- But that goes to our seniors, that goes to, you know, all of the services that the county can
Yeah.
provide.
Granular, but I was a little more high level, but I said be a safe community, economically sound,
Affordability.
attractive for families.
Affordability is a difficult animal,
Maintain
but
youth
we need to,
How about prioritize
communicate
the
what it
I
is.
think my
What
biggest
do you
one
think
is
it is?
elected
That's the
services
difficulty,
areas
because it's
that
such
need
a
it and have
great,
transportation controls transportation going there.
we don't
Safe
control,
I get this place for
we don't control how much it
Tell me
costs
about
to
how you can
build.
use my property.
No,
I can't do that. I
know.
can't touch that.
Okay.
That's our.
But we can do things to streamline so that those construction items can be.
Yeah, I mean, we only need
I
one more.
think it has to be, even though it's broad and it's hard to sort of define, or it may have multiple definitions. It has to be part of the vision. It just has to be, because just like somebody said, you know, I raised my kids, or I raised my family here, but now my kids.
Prevention bills.
Seniors. seniors,
Gets involved
fixed
with
incomes.
Thriving academic.
Well, I don't know.
Millbrook Corners, they don't get any service.
What can we do?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's true enough, that's the perception.
Let's give another couple
But I think
minutes.
it has to
So
have, I
you
think we have to have the
can- What
discussion.
you can do, so let's say you need workforce housing. What you can do
Thank
is
you.
streamline
So
it.
you get 2 minutes now.
Okay.
It's
Putting it all together.
Because the cost of going to the government to get your approval puts cost on construction. And so now you're making
Pass
it
that
less of a
savings
burden.
on.
They don't,
And
well,
when we do this, she said that's what their
and kind
team's
of
gonna
make
do.
it that way, like, hey, if you get to go through the fast track, this is what you gotta do. We'll let you go down the fast track, but this is what they look at. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of an incentive program.
So,
Put accessible transit, because you mentioned.
high level services.
I like this.
Say about the transportation part.
It's a
I
way of-
said alignment of
years.
services.
Not yet.
So maybe if you want to write it on.
I think it's
I think
ideal.
someone separate. Okay, because,
Well, because if I were to take a look at this, I would put underneath it, how are you going to find needs? There should be more municipality, county partnerships.
Did you see that? 100 degrees.
Did you see the one about the whales?
Just
So
a
that
whale.
all.
I think services probably
President of the
see a whole bunch of stuff. Mental health.
Remember Save the Whales program like years ago? 4 years ago.
Actually,
Ask more
the
on that.
transportation is separate. I think that's like a
Because of
common,
wind,
just.
smells,
Because
wind.
implementation affects entire debate,
Yeah.
not just.
Like that, like that.
There's a different element that those wind turbines are sending through the water system, and now they're dying. So my question is, environmental evaluate
Yeah.
pros and cons.
So if I don't have-
So we're looking at battery recycling, we're looking at leakage. of-
And then what do you guys want to put in here, just like accessible transit,
Maybe put
animal
environmental
transit,
leader
visit.
and that would
Are you ready?
cover.
And do y'all know who your spokesperson is gonna be reported on?
I think accessible transit.
Oh, you get to write a
2 to 1.
summary of it.
2 to 1.
I agree.
I'm the shyest person in the room, for God's sake.
Absolutely.
Oh.
That's a huge
Alright.
problem in-
They do for a living.
Right.
And this covers.
Yeah.
Be somewhere.
All right.
This is good. Thank you for letting me
Thank
participate.
you. Oh,
Something
absolutely.
else, how do we want to
Insight.
describe desirable for families? I think that it's something you said.
Then you know I'm gonna have to have.
Yes, I said attractive, but I kind of like, I like the word desirable. Desirable.
Is it just desirable for
There are a
families?
few others, but it's okay. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one, Greg.
Did you
Thanks,
have
Michael.
something similar to attractive for families or desirable for families? Or how would you
I
say
said,
that?
I want you to be
Refer to
referred
what?
to.
Sorry. Gotta be somewhere too.
Last time, there was something like that had happened last time. Oh. So
My only
this
concern
is
is
the
5
city's
years from
mission
now.
statement. that I-
Anyone else? Technology and education.
Sustain what we got.
I'm gonna start taking from.
This is just.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to say something about safety, right?
Oh, yeah, safety.
Talked about how caring for our elders in every.
On one hand, it says, what do we do well with this? It's kind of- But then on the other hand, I look at some of the other challenges, safety problems. So I'm always, I never understood that.
Let's do 2 more minutes.
I think it's a spectrum. I think it's a.
Here, you want to put, can we put safety?
No.
Yeah, safe, safe, for safety,
I was waiting to hear what you had to
safe
say about
community.
that.
I mean, I think.
Safe
Right,
community.
prioritize safety.
Prioritize safety.
Okay, prioritize safety.
You're right.
I like the already.
No. I like the
Senior community? Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't.
But that doesn't tell me why.
I've been here since 2018, the conversations that I've heard.
It's not a safety one. We've had,
And
in
we've had
my own
carjacking.
community, we've had so much more
We've had
crime in the
carjacking.
last.
I think they passed over in the economic impact. There are slides though that actually specifically talks
We
about
have
how.
one more.
And then you'll be ready?
We are. And
And one more.
I understand, but I think safety is slipping everywhere, so I don't wanna lose, like, that's why I'm saying, like, if are we safer than Chicago? No, it's not, but Chicago's way less safe than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, you're right.
So it's safe. Increase it.
Yeah. And everybody, all the money goes to them.
I know, it's like-
All right.
I'm just trying to reconcile the two
All right, I'm gonna call us back together.
It's
not. Another plan, I had a little bell.
I'm just trying to reconcile.
I think that's because it's only, I think that's because it's a perspective and spectrum, like, I think it's relative, it's relatively safe compared to Chicago.
All right, so this is the part where you all get to share with one another what you did in your small group. So the green group was done first, so let's have team green.
Oh, such.
Who's our
That's Patty.
spokesperson?
Patty,
Patty.
that's me, sorry. Work calls. When work calls, I answer. Yes.
So what did y'all work on?
So, one of the goals and which some of it we've already got here at the county, but always can be improved, is communication. And more people know about what the county does and what we have available is, that's half of the problem sometimes. And it also provides transparency too, so people know what the county's doing. Fiscal responsibility, that speaks to our seniors and others, our young people, who are looking at their budgets right now and realizing that there is some challenges and there may be some additional challenges moving forward. So keeping that fiscal responsibility in our vision and making sure that it continues to be there. The other one is safety. That goes without any explanation. We have quite a few reports and information where people want to make sure they feel safe. They do feel safe, but they want to continue to feel safe. We also talked about mental health and substance use. That seems to be a big one right now coming out of COVID with a lot of anxiety and other things that are happening with our youth and also our seniors who are isolated for a long time, and then just the general public. But getting that to be one of the visions that we have more to be able to aid and help people moving forward. Business friendly is very important because that goes right with our responsibility on the fiscal end of it. Environmentally friendly, and we always talk so much about environment, being friendly to environment. All of us want a clean environment, totally. But we also have to talk about the pros and the cons and really dig into it. What are some of the pros? Solar panels. What's some of the cons? They can leak some stuff into the soil and contaminate the soil. What's the great thing about batteries? They don't shoot out bad stuff into the air. What's the bad thing about batteries? You got nowhere to put them when they're bad. We talk about the cost of some of this stuff where you have more electric that's going to be required on the grid. So you're going to have transformer upgrades, and those are going to cost. So that comes into that financial end of it. Affordable and workforce housing, we already have an ad hoc committee on that. Those run the gambit of many different ways of identifying what affordable is. Again, we talked about subsidized, we talked about workforce, we talk about just first-time buyers, we talk about seniors. So that is a really big component because they pay into our real estate taxes. We know we're a small portion of it, but it still does impact people. High level of services, we already at the county give high level of services, but we want to make sure we maintain that moving forward. So those were kind of our contributions to your request.
Thank you. Great job. Team Blue.
Team Blue.
Here we go. Hey, we tried to use as many action words as possible and to keep it as very condensed and concise, because I'm still gonna have a stroke over that. Okay, affordable and accessible housing. So not simply affordable, but making sure that people, for example, any special needs populations that are now going to be outgrowing their parents' care have a place to go. So affordable and accessible. A cohesive public transportation, which also includes bike paths. So not just simply buses and trains and better things like that, putting in more train stops, but easily accessible bike paths and ways for people to get to work and to wherever they are going that does not involve single driver or single car. Leaders, we want to be the leaders in mental health and addiction services. We are already on that path with everything that we are doing. And so we just need to continue growing that. And so we want to make sure that this is a completely normalized part of our community. No one bats an eye when we are dealing and addressing mental health and substance and addiction issues. We want to prioritizing environmental sustainability, not just we do this, we do that, look at this one solar panel, aren't we amazing? We can all stop now, the world is fine. No, we are gonna really prioritize it, be a leader in environmental sustainability. Of course, we have to put in there a thriving arts and cultural destination, put us on the map, culturally and artistically speaking. This also addresses economic development and tourism. So that's all under this umbrella. A vibrant senior communities. So not just that we are going to have people, as you were pointing out, aging, that's the one growing population, everything else is decreasing. We want people to age in place vibrantly, not wither away. We are going to make sure that this is a wonderful environment for our senior citizens. And we want to make sure that we are always, since we are a fiscal body, our number one job is the economy, so that we are driving economic development, not just maintaining. We are bringing in business, we are driving economic development, and in my opinion, this is should be one of our top priorities, because this is what our job is as elected officials to the DuPage County Board.
Thank you. Good job.
One, two.
Oh, last minute.
Sorry. We ran out of time. Our group spent a lot of time discussing. All right, so we start with alignment of services to community needs, because we mentioned that a lot of our communities aren't getting what they're actually needing. And you know, for instance, Wooddale or Edison or Bensville or whatever it is, particularly like mental health, right? So we just want to make sure that if there's a need in that community, then that's where the services should really, really be prioritized. We also talked about being desirable to all families, and I think everybody knows that, you know, that's what we want for DuPage County. We want people to be attracted to the county itself, and that includes everything else here, obviously. But we just want to make sure it's to every family. And then accessible transportation, not only just accessible to people, but also accessible to the places they want to go, whether it's work, whether it's to nature, whether it's to shops, whether it's to schools. So all of that. Systemically reducing our carbon footprint. I just think that at a high level that we can do more to systematically do this at a higher level to make sure that we can reduce our carbon footprint, to make our county more climate friendly. Strong economy, I think, you know, that's obviously very clear that we care about commerce and making sure that we are a big hub of commerce. Affordable for more residents. I don't think we specified what kind of affordability. I think, you know, housing is a part of it, obviously. Prioritizing safety. We have members of our group that really, really believe that we still need to prioritize safety in the county, because there has been some decrease of that because of the increase of crime that's happening in other counties. And then finally, we want to be culturally competent and inclusive in 5 years, considering we have more mixed race families, double from what we had in 2010. So we want to make sure that our county and the county staff really understand all the religions and ethnicities and cultural identities that people have in our county.
Well done, everybody.
This was much better.
Sorry, we're bringing it up.
Okay.
I think we're staying in our groups.
Oh.
Yeah,
Please stay in your groups.
So actually, next we're gonna go ours too in Wichita. So while Jason is bringing the
Sorry, my
presentation
laptop
back up. Oh, you're good. Next, we're gonna do a check-in on your current guiding principles.
Oh,
Oh, did I miss something?
Yeah.
Said we.
Anything missing?
Oh, yes, sorry, Michelle.
Is anything missing? So what you can see is a lot of alignment, right, between what each of your groups came up with. And when we go to the guiding principles, I'm going to go over here in the corner and do a little organizing. But when you look at what's up there and you think about your ideal future 5 years out from now, is there anything missing that you want?
I don't think education was discussed.
You know, I have it on my
Yeah.
list.
So, strong education.
But we
But we
addressed
don't-
that. We're not, that's not under our purview.
So that's a question I was going to ask. Every community wants good schools and good, if they have colleges and universities there. But then you have to look at the county's role in that, right? So you have a limited role. You can influence, but you can't directly. So
Right.
do you want it to go up there or not?
Well, I think some, maybe funding though, we can do some funding, but we just can't, right? We
Well,
just
yeah, well,
can't,
yes, but I don't want it to be confusing to people who think that we have something to do with the
like a
education.
school.
Because we
yeah.
don't have anything to
It's
do
our
with the
school
school.
board.
Yeah,
Yes, already they
be
raised the
school board.
careful if you put it up there,
That makes sense.
how you're gonna
Yeah, we can move on.
manage that, the way
Yeah.
it's used.
People think that all the money
Yeah.
that goes to the same thing actually.
Yes, that's true.
And we want to make sure we
It
don't.
might make
perpetuate
the,
that.
the water even muddier on that.
Correct.
Okay,
Understood.
anything else missing?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to check, you can move the guiding
Yeah,
principles
I
up.
can now.
Yeah, and don't pay any attention to me.
It wasn't a purview. All right,
I
so
wouldn't, then I
Jason,
realized-
if you go to the next slide. So guiding principles, if you remember our smarter house graphic, the guiding principles are the foundation about how you all and your staff approach the work every day. So they guide your organization in all circumstances, regardless of the type of work it is, whether it's a flood control stormwater project or a health and human services program. They're the foundational way that you all show up and do your work. If you go to the next slide. So these are your current guiding principles. I don't know the last time how frequently y'all look at these, so I'm going to read them to you. But so here's your current guiding principles. First is accountability. Ensuring that county government, through its decisions and actions, is responsible for creating and achieving standards of performance. The next one is consolidation/efficiency, seeking opportunities and partnerships to share resources, increase efficiency, and achieve economies of scale. Transparency, providing clear, timely, and useful information about the decisions and actions of county government. Quality, offering effective, accessible, and efficient services by well-trained personnel that respond to new and emerging constituent needs. And then lastly, leadership, expanding collaborations with regional governments and non-governmental partners to anticipate issues and develop innovative solutions. So those are your current guiding principles, and these are how you go about achieving your vision. Jason, we have the next slide. You go back. So what I want to know now is, are these the right guiding principles? What's missing? What would you change? What speaks to you? Are they good as they are? And y'all say we love them? Do you want to make some tweaks? Do you want to refine them?
This is guiding principles as to how the county operates, the county government, including our board members and staff.
Yep. I'm sorry, I have a hard time hearing you.
No, I'm saying that I wanted to clarify these guiding principles they relate to how we as a county board operate, including our county board members and staff.
Right.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify.
So, I like everything that's being said. I think we can do better though in
Okay.
these areas.
Okay, so you think these are the right guiding principles, that perhaps the living into them could be done a little bit better? Okay.
Member
I
Robin.
I think under leadership, I really like everything that's in there, but I think that developing innovation solutions can actually even happen at lower levels. It doesn't have to be just the leaders in each department. You know, there might be some bottom-up solutions that should be heard by other people. So it might, I don't know.
the old fashioned idea box, but it shouldn't be just restricted to leadership.
Well, that's interesting, because you can think about it from a facilitative leadership standpoint, that everybody leads from where they are in an organization, and that's kind of a guiding principle for some.
Member Rutledge.
Thank you, Chair. Kind of to expound on that, I want to encourage individuals even. I have one gentleman that's been coming to my environmental meetings that has single-handedly produced dark sky resolutions, ordinances all across the state. And I commended him for that. So it could be one person that we want to make sure we empower.
Okay, Member you.
Oh, thank you, Chair. So again, with leadership, I kind of noticed that too, the expanding collaborations with regional governments and non-governmental partners. I don't know that that's really necessarily the principle of leadership. I think that's the principle of collaborativeness, intersectionality. That's what I see it as. So I feel like if that's going to be its own principle, then it should just be collaboration, intersectionality, whatever.
I think I like
And
that
I
better
think
too.
leadership is something else. It includes a lot of stuff, but not just collaboration with regional governments, right? And then the other, I'm just gonna, I'll wait on my other comment. Thank you.
All right.
Oh
And
my
then I feel like the leadership language right there, it could be under the efficiency bullet point right there. It just seems a little redundant.
So I keep thinking that leadership is DuPage County is a leader in the state of Illinois. We are a leader on a lot of different issues, areas. We have to continue to work with Cook County, Will County, all these other places so I believe that we should keep that in there as a leader. The leadership means the county government leads and other counties follow us, is how I look at it.
You want to put collaborative, efficient leadership
Or preserves.
or
What?
that would be long.
Preserves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preserves the collaborations, because you're preserving what you have. Preserve collaborations with regional governments and non-governmental partners.
I
Continue
would
to
like
collaborate.
community partners instead of non-governmental.
Yeah.
Community, that's a good word, yeah.
Community
I don't like
that fits
non-governmental.
better.
Yeah, community partners, yeah, that's better.
And that's who we work with. So expanding
Right.
collaborations with regional governments and community partners. And then
Member
period,
LaPlante,
period.
I'm sorry. Member Garcia was next. and
Yeah,
then-
I agree with that too.
That's okay. I mean, we can finish up on that one. I was going back to accountability because I think that looks like, but I just think that's very unclear what that is about. I've read it like multiple times and it's still.
I can explain
Yeah,
it.
a little big.
Explain it to me.
I can explain it. It's whatever we support right now. We have to look at the long-term impacts of it, either long-term or right now. Whatever decision you make on the board, you have to think, how is it going to affect us for the community today, tomorrow, or years from now?
like that.
Which I think that's a clear
not
way
what
of
that
saying it.
says.
That's not what that says. So maybe we should read what you just said.
I like what you said.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you.
But that ain't it.
No.
Oh, okay. So going back to accountability, I agree with Chair Covert, but I also think accountability, the achieving standards for performance is the key part to what accountability actually is. Like if you talk about what are SMART goals, they have to be measurable, they have to be achievable, that kind of thing. So I think that is part and parcel of what accountability is.
That's kind of what I think of accountability.
Member LaPlante.
I also think, accountability is if there is a mistake, you own it, you clean it up.
That's true. Right.
There's nothing that says anything there. That's what accountability means to me.
So,
Member
so
Oh,
we're
sorry.
ownership.
Ownership.
Yeah.
Member Glass.
And I don't know if this should be under accountability, but fiscal responsibility, I think, should be mentioned
Yes.
at some place, because
Uh-huh.
ultimately we're responsible to the taxpayers. So, I mean,
So you have this, and to me, this is really a part of your guiding principles.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean we don't say something about fiscal in the vision statement. This is really a guiding principle.
Yeah.
I think you could merge together accountability and fiscal responsibility.
yeah, I think it needs to be mentioned or.
Yes.
I think we can merge those.
That's our job.
Yeah, it is.
That's our number one job.
Okay, so we're gonna we'll look at, Karen and I will figure out how we can merge those concepts into a single value or guiding principle.
That sounds good.
Okay?
Right, and I have a quick question.
Yes.
We're only staying with those topics, or could you do something like protect DuPage county's resources for future generations?
Yep, so there's a couple things. So that's sustainability, big sustainability, doesn't relate just to the environment, right?
Right.
I like that one. So that could be added. It could also be incorporated into leadership. You don't have equity and inclusion and diversity in your guiding principles, so that's another consideration. Do you want that there? Should it be there? You have it listed up here as, and it might need to live in both places, in the vision and the guiding principles. Culturally competent and inclusive.
I like that's culture.
Do you see this as different than, do you see this as a guiding principle, or do you see it as different?
Yeah, I mean, to split hairs, I just don't know that culturally competent is going to resonate. If there's just a different verbiage that we could use, but it definitely needs to be a guiding principle. I just think we need to wordsmith it a bit.
I think what we're trying to get at is being respectful, you know, and I think that's what people are trying to communicate. So I guess that would be a technical way of saying it.
Maybe embracing diversity.
Right, I think we already have that.
Respecting all cultures, welcoming and accepting.
A lot of
I like
government
diversity.
entities go with equity and inclusion,
Oh, there you go.
because you can be diverse but not inclusive,
Yeah,
and you can be inclusive but not equitable.
yeah.
So it's really trying, if you really want to go for the gold and say we value equity, even if we're not all the way there, and you want to embrace it as a value or a guiding principle, then that's where it should
So
go.
we already have an imperative, one of our main goals in the county, diversity and inclusion is included in there. So
But it doesn't, it's not the-
renaming all of that.
for the guiding principles, that's what you're.
Yeah, I think it should be one of the guiding principles.
Yeah, I like,
Equity and
agree.
inclusion.
This is, you may have that as an imperative, but this list of principles conveys the way in which the county is going to carry out its business, right? So if you want to make sure your programming and your service delivery is equitable, it should be a guiding principle.
Definitely.
Welcoming, inclusive,
Equitable.
Did you capture welcoming up there?
I did, nope, let me write that.
All right, so I'm wondering too, with this one, we've talked about communicating better. And so a question I have for you is, can this also, communication and transparency, be this concept folded into the guiding principle, or does this specific conveyance of this need to live somewhere in your vision statement?
I think it's fine where it is.
Yeah, it's transparency there.
But I think communication attitude would be good, because I think
Yeah,
that we've
we
talked
can.
about, there's more need for communication on what we're doing here.
Yeah, but it says, like
It
it
says
says, right
it
there,
provided
description is in there.
information about decisions. We
Yeah.
just aren't really doing it, but we need
Correct.
to.
It's the action,
Just say
it's the
communication
action
and
of it,
transparency.
we're not.
Yes.
You can even take the word information out and sub in communication, so useful communication about the
Okay,
decision.
true.
Yeah,
We'll do
it makes
that,
it a little
yes.
bit more
Yeah, because
active. Yeah.
communication can suggest two-way, it can
Yeah,
suggest a
useful. I
dialogue.
like that
Information
descriptor.
is one way.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, and information is very static.
Yeah.
We want to be engaged and actively communicating.
Yeah.
Engaged is a really good
I think
word.
we can really dust up these guiding principles to, again, make them more active, to make them more descriptive of the behaviors that you would hope to see from the county.
And that we are already doing.
Yes,
So some aspirational, but really, we're already doing.
we're already doing a
this,
lot
so
of this,
Let's
right?
claim it.
Yeah, claim it, and then let's weave in the things that maybe you're not doing yet, or you're not doing as well as you should be.
Exactly.
All right, let's move along, because we do have to get to our group discussion. There are members that need to leave, so I don't want to lose quorum.
No, we just
Whoever
bullet
wants to,
points,
if you
there's a
want.
lot of words up there, so just was gonna
Can we make
recommend
the
that.
environment the next one?
Well, I think we've agreed that we're gonna probably add a value or a guiding principle around sustainability, and that's gonna include the environment within it.
Okay.
Diverse
Okay.
Business and employment.
All right, we are ready to move to the next activity. Because your guiding principle, or your strategic priorities are already up here. They are already up here, but we need to organize, condense, and then decide what's that handful of priority focus areas that you're going to have in your plan. So again, up here on the slide, they're the most important areas you need to focus on. It's a small number of focal points, 3 to 5 is the best, that you have determined to be critical in achieving your mission and vision as an organization. So right here it says 4 to 6, 3 to 5 is actually better. 3 is almost too little because then you've got the gigantic buckets. The sweet spot is 5, right? So let's look at what you put up here, because we're going to weave these ideas into a vision statement, into an aspirational vision statement. So your vision is communicated up here, right, in concepts. Barry Dunn's going to craft it. But when you look up here and you see these topics, I've organized things into topic areas, right? And there's an outlier here that I'm not quite sure stands alone or where it goes.
Oh, I'll tell you.
But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we have 9 topic areas here. So if you want to be able to focus on all those things, we need to collapse them into some priority focus areas.
Can I offer, I was
Yes.
going to say, because you said the outlier, I think the economic development is coming through strongly. And I
Absolutely.
think that
This
goes
is
right
part of
with
it.
it. That's
Yeah.
part of
I
economic
was
development.
gonna put it there, but I didn't.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. That's
Yeah.
tourism and economic development.
Yeah.
Yep, so you've got a clear category here of economic development, business and economic development. Okay, over here is safety. Now, a question I have for you, would you consider safety and health together?
Yes.
Because they are intertwined.
Totally.
When you think about the social determinants of health, and you think about the way your public safety partners have to get involved with the community in such a way that it helps them potentially move them towards services they need.
I don't think so.
You think it's different?
Different, completely different to me. Public safety, I mean, health is, are you talking about physical health and health of the community?
Mental health.
Mental health.
Okay, no. Public safety is totally separate.
Well, don't you think that incidents of crime?
It can be
usually have to
intertwined,
do?
but I mean, not when there's so many gun cases and all sorts of increase in gun felonies in DuPage County
That's public
and
safety
car
too.
things. Public safety should be standalone.
So you're
That's my
saying, so with the mental health, that goes more into healthcare.
Yes.
Or maybe high level of
Yes.
services,
Yes.
because you want high level
Healthcare and-
services under your mental health and
Mental
substance
health and
use.
substance abuse is
High level
together.
services.
Public safety is separate.
See, mental health, and can you say that again?
I didn't call it.
Not everything, not every
It's often
Yeah,
connected.
but not every time.
Not every time, but often.
That's
Definitely.
Sure.
You convey, we want this high level of service, and you can have some objectives underneath that focus specifically on mental health and addiction services, mental health and substance use.
Aren't they the same?
What was that?
Aren't those two the same?
Yeah,
They just came from
Yeah,
two
we
different groups.
I just left them both up there to reflect the 2 groups.
So I think we can put desirable, or what you've got in your hand, to all families and vibrant senior communities can also go under a high level of services.
Or affordable housing, depending upon what your criteria is for those 2 comments. They fit either one, but I agree, high level services also.
I would say separate those from affordable housing, because the high level of services and
Senior services
Because what
would
you can do
be
with
different.
like
parks
what-
and.
if-
Yeah,
if
oh,
you
good
have-
point.
If you have, whatever we're gonna call this category, which we're gonna do in just a second, let's say this category is named accessible housing. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but let's just call it that. What you will have here is, underneath it are a number of objectives that deal with housing across the spectrum of needs, right? And it would encompass strategies that help seniors live in place. It would include strategies that make it possible for families to live here and stay here. All right, now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 6. That's,
Well,
I'm not-
transportation
Can't they
falls
go
under
under-
environmental sustainability. If we could get those buses and cars off the road, we'd have a cleaner environment.
Or it goes under high-level services, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, high-level services.
high-level services.
Because that's part of our services is our amazing public.
So,
Yeah,
so
I
I
think it fits better
don't, so let me
there.
caution you, I don't want you to artificially collapse. If you need 6 priorities, you need 6 priorities. And the reason I'm saying that is because of what a significant priority this came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
All
know,
of the
that's,
different
that's what I was gonna say, in
channels.
your presentation, it sounded like that was loud and clear about what we needed to improve on. So I do feel like that should be a standalone category personally.
It feels to us, I think, a little bit like it does, given the weight of everything that came in and what a huge issue that is in terms of being able to solve some of the problems of misalignment that you have between where the services are and where the people are that need the services, right?
I think we go with 6.
I think we're gonna go
Yeah.
with 6.
Yeah.
I can't see
All
it
right,
going.
that's fine.
We're a huge
Yeah,
county.
I don't see how to
You're a
collapse.
huge county, you're
You're
almost a million people,
Yeah, we
right?
need this, yeah.
Okay, so now we're gonna name them, and we're gonna get close. You can massage the names of these later. The staff tomorrow will have ideas about the naming of them, but let's just try to name the categories as closely as we can to how we'd like to see them show up in the strategic plan as focus areas. So what do you want to call this?
Public safety.
Safe communities.
Safety,
Safe
one word or
communities
how
are
many?
It can be 2 words. It can
Okay.
be 2 or 3 words, 1, 2, or 3. It's better if it's 2 or 3 words, so there's a little bit of description in there.
Safe
So
and desirable community.
safe and desirable
No,
community.
Safe to safe.
Safe community, marketing for safe communities. Okay, we'll go with that.
Desirables too.
And again, you guys, you're gonna see a draft of this before you ever adopt it.
market it
for those people that
wanna move here.
These are real estate.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I
gotta mark
It's very worried, so.
So we named this one.
Safe communities.
All right, so this is about business and the economy. So let's not make it too vanilla, right? Let's have it be descriptive of what you're actually trying to achieve.
Thriving economy.
Thriving economy, okay, I can buy that. All right, start looking at the next column. What would you name that?
Affordable and accessible housing.
Just what this one
Yes, I
is.
think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
2 was my drop dead.
All right,
I know.
Accessibility.
I think.
Housing accessibility.
Well, it's also living in the community.
Good
Cost.
all right, what about the next column? What are you gonna call that?
Oh, she put on there.
Sustainability.
Sustainable solutions.
Sheila, what do you think? You're the expert.
What'd you say, Paula?
Sustainable solutions?
Yeah, I like that.
That doesn't say enough to me.
I was gonna say, Lynn's not gonna like it. I know. I heard that before. Okay, sustainable.
Environmentally centered.
So environmentally centered, okay.
We might be missing a word there, but like, in other words, that this is one of our,
Environmental stewardship?
I'd be all right with that.
The stewards of the environment, I like that,
yeah,
I actually like stewardship better.
because we're keeping that.
Just saying that the county is the steward.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
or in prioritization, environmental prioritization, something.
well,
That gets too wordy, I think.
your objectives
Big idea.
can demonstrate that it's a priority.
Okay,
Stewardship suggests prioritization because it means not only are you being a steward of what you have, you're being a steward of what you're going to develop for future generations.
yeah, because that's the only thing about the stewardship, it sounds like we're copacetic with how it is right now, and what we keep saying is it needs to be better.
But that's an incorrect understanding of the definition of stewardship, because stewardship is about making sure that things are okay for future generations.
All right,
Right.
all right.
Let's leave stewardship for now. We can change it later if we
No,
can
no,
come
no,
up with
that's good, as
something
long as,
better.
I
That's
like
more
that
descriptive.
explanation, I just want to make sure that we're forward thinking here.
Okay, what do we want to call the transportation transit column?
Transit.
Accessible transit.
connection. I like mobility and connection, because it's more than just public transit. It's helping people to get around.
Adaptive transportation, I don't know, something.
No one
about
will know what that
adaptive
means.
Right.
And don't forget the bike pedestrian
Exactly.
component
Yeah.
of this.
What about
So mobility
Some tape.
fits that and
mobility? Connectivity and mobility.
yeah.
I don't think people will know what that means.
I know.
Do they know what mobility means?
No, not
Well,
like
nothing
this.
for
Mobility
ladies.
has to do with health.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because basically what this means, I'm just gonna say it in plain language.
Thank you.
It means getting around in the community.
Mhm.
That's what this is, getting around in the community.
I'm looking for a word that denotes
Travel, transportation.
everybody.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Because it's not just transit, right? It's not
Right.
just transit. Transit's an important part of it. Getting around in the community, improving mobility, improving the way people get around. Accessible transportation, transportation access.
Or system, let's see.
Accessible transportation.
Because it does have to do with access, and it has to do with ease in getting around in the community.
How about encompassing? I'm putting the Google to work here. Extensive, broad, complete, encompassing.
Complete transportation.
Mobile accessibility, but that means a car, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, mobility can mean pedestrian, it can mean bike, it can mean
Mobility sounds like.
scooters, it can mean skateboards,
Therapy. You know.
it can mean those
Across the
segways.
board.
It's so, can anybody find words to convey improving the way people are able to get around to the community? Because that's really what it is.
Modes of travel.
Enhanced mobility.
Well, that says what it is.
Yeah.
That's as close as we've come. Let's put that down for now, recognizing that we'll probably try to find an improvement for it. Because remember, today isn't about wordsmithing, it's around getting close, and then we'll work on it.
How about barrier-free transportation?
I like accessible transportation too.
But then that doesn't sound like walking.
I'm gonna put that one up here as well. And then we'll noodle on it tomorrow with the department leadership and see what they have to say.
I just think it's moving within the county.
Yeah, like modes of travel
Yeah.
within the county.
Moving within the county.
Intercounty
Something
modal.
movement.
Make it 20 words and everybody will figure it out.
Make it as long as
That's why
words like-
mobility is such a good word, because it conveys so much.
Inter-county accessibility?
Accessible travel.
Let's say interconnected mobility, but people are gonna get lost.
It sounds like something.
All right, we're not gonna figure that out today. That's okay. All right, what is this category?
That was high levels.
Yeah, high level
High-level
county
services.
services. I mean, plowing and fixing the roads and all of those services that the county does.
So let's find a descriptor for that. So is it,
Isn't it
And of course,
services?
the mental health and the
Amenities, the quality of
substance
life.
use.
Services for quality of life.
Yep, I like that.
Yeah.
I like
too.
that. That's a good one.
Is it services for quality of life?
Don't make it long.
this could be actually a really big, that's okay.
Seems like something's missing there.
Supreme services.
There you go. That's what is missing.
All right.
That's what's missing, Lucy.
Are we okay with that for today?
Yes.
I think it's really good work that we can build off of, and we can do some massaging, but I think it's close. That's close. All right.
Work, guys.
All right, so we have one more activity,
Yep.
and then we're done.
I think you're gonna do this one, right? Or am I doing it?
No, you're doing this one.
I'm doing this one. All right, so
Well, yeah, I think so. I think I was doing the priorities, you were gonna do the goals, but we can both work on it.
All right, so next slide. We've done this.
Yep.
One more. All right, so last push of the day, and I know we have a hard stop at 3.
This is a full group discussion, so it should go fast.
I just want to encourage everybody, you guys are a part of actually creating the strategic plan,
Yeah.
like physically.
Yep.
You guys should be proud of yourselves.
Yeah, this
Great
is
work.
amazing. You guys have done great work.
So what are strategic goals? These are the long, these are your long-term, broad, continuous statements that define how you make progress towards your vision, right? The next slide. We're gonna do a group discussion. So what is the end result? You have your priorities over here. Quality of life services, whatever the transportation ends up being, environmental stewardship, affordable housing, safe community, and thriving economy. So what's the end result that you want? And what's achievable over 5 years, right? So what are your goals per one?
So let's start on the left.
Yeah.
Safe communities.
What do you hope to have achieved in 5 years?
What does it look like?
Crime-free. All right, so I'm gonna do a check on that.
Yeah.
5 years, aspirational but achievable. Yeah. I mean, are you gonna be crime-free in 5 years? Okay, so what's a goal that's achievable in 5 years?
Well, I have been working on something where I would like us to build a countywide communication infrastructure to help our various police agencies communicate with each other. Non-radio communication.
So here, see how I wrote this? Countywide communication structure, non-radio is in place. So we're looking
We're
for
talking about 5 years.
5 years, right? 5 years per that broad category. What else?
Maybe more police officers, so maybe more of a positive vision or view of our enforcement.
Enhanced view of law enforcement.
Yeah. Mhm.
About more law enforcement, citizen collaboration.
Have you guys done this before? Because you guys feel like you're nailing it. You guys are just nailing this.
We're running out of steam. We're trying to wrap it all up.
You know, there was another thing that we, through technology committee, we put together a crime portal, a transparency portal, and it's only for DuPage County right now. So we might want to expand that. So just people have a better sense of what crime is happening in their communities.
To the larger region.
Yeah, so other, like if Naperville wants to
Right.
share their crime data and put it in the portal.
That's
All the different
interesting.
units.
That's interesting. I like that. Did you guys just start that?
No,
We
not really.
already have the crime portal up. The only problem is that certain municipalities will include the information.
That's great. And you know, we really don't need more than 4 or 5 ideas to create this goal statement. Anything else?
Can I just add one more
Yeah.
thing too? I'd really like to see more community engagement with diverse communities in law enforcement. And I think, as Sheila was kind of getting at it, citizen collaboration, but I just think for specifically under-resourced and diverse communities.
Right. What's the next one?
Next one is thriving economy. What do you want to do in 5 years?
New streams of revenue, revenue productions. Increase in new businesses moving to DuPage County.
Does this arts and cultural go in there somewhere?
It does,
Yeah.
a new performing arts center.
5 years, we should have it running, up and running.
Well, we could have a feasibility study. Yeah, it's happening.
Happening.
Streamlining the development process.
Yeah.
What was that?
Streamlining the development process internally with the county. Otherwise it takes years and years and years, you know.
Yeah, can we put
Yeah, updating codes.
updating building and
Codes.
zoning? and that?
Correctly, yes, zoning
They're all old.
codes.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So old.
What else?
Increasing retention of businesses.
Oh, that's okay.
We want to make sure no one is leaving them.
So expand and retain.
Exactly. Can't have just bring them, keep them too.
No, it's just like a circle.
All right. We're ready to move on?
Yes.
Affordable and accessible housing.
Okay, before you start throwing things out, let me get a new page.
Hang on, here you go, Michelle, sorry.
We're making you ladies hustle.
Thank you. All right. Which one is this?
Affordable and accessible housing. What do y'all got?
I like new ideas for, I love tiny house villages. Or 3D printed houses. When we went down to NACO, we visited this community that was, they had 3D printed houses that.
Keep in mind, those are not safe. They're not safe to live in, but, you know, they wouldn't pass any building codes. So like you're putting people.
But again, if we're talking about updating our building and zoning, I don't, that was not the impression we got at all from the builders. Actually, there was a thing on 60 Minutes.
Would they hold up to a tornado in?
Yeah, much better than
keep it-
sticking.
So we want to also do the codes update on this one, so for
Yeah.
affordable housing,
Yeah.
so codes and
I just,
zoning.
I put,
Yeah, yeah.
I put new innovative strategies to meet housing.
That
needs.
works for me,
That
yeah,
way we don't
yeah.
have to go into the
Nope.
specifics.
Totally good for me.
So updates to code,
Zoning
building code.
Yeah, zoning and building
okay.
codes.
Yeah.
And there is an affordable component with respect to the expense of living in the county, so we want to be cognizant of that too. Taxes, cost,
So how does that get conveyed in the
fees that go through zoning, all of that stuff. So,
Okay. I would like to see an equitable distribution of affordable and accessible housing,
Yeah.
meaning it's not in one district, it's not in one corner, it's throughout. Every single district has it. And it's incorporated into existing neighborhoods and communities.
So I was,
Yes.
I was gonna say, if we added to all in the first
Yeah, no, I-
sentence right there, the top, I think, bullet point, would that capture what you just said?
You gotta get past the NIM.
Do you feel like it would
A lot of that.
capture that to meet housing needs for all?
New innovative and equitable strategies, maybe, if you added that word.
Housing needs for all.
Something like
I
that.
just added your thought as you
Yeah.
said it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Can we add like just a little bullet of ADUs up on that first? Just put ADU on
Yeah.
there.
For diverse housing needs.
Yeah.
I don't think you can address affordable housing without
Have an ADU.
addressing food deserts.
Oh,
We
food
have-
They're there
deserts.
forever.
Yes.
Do we want that in
quality of
driving?
life services.
We want that in quality of life service.
Okay.
Yes.
So I
Wanna
can
capture that,
there.
Karen?
Well,
Yeah, and that there's several things. It's being able to move those things closer to where there is nothing. But then again, also having transportation.
That'll
as
get
well.
you
It's
in
both.
grocery stores, so
It's
it's not.
both.
Remember you?
So I was gonna say, I don't think we've included fair housing ordinance.
Oh, okay, yep. Is it to update it or create it?
To create it.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of federal law too, because that comes from HUD, so we should be complying with that anyway.
Okay. Anything else on affordable and accessible housing. Anything you could do in 5 years?
Things I think, speaking of Rutledge's thing, recommendation or idea, you know, there's other things that can be built, like condominiums, like duplexes, like, you know, things like that, townhouses, that you get more people living closer together, and then it could bring that component of cost down, so. But again, that comes
Repurposing
under
shopping
zoning.
mall.
There, that's what I was thinking.
Purpose, like
PD,
85
yeah.
Valley.
All these empty buildings, you know.
All the empty buildings.
They are going to be, yes.
And then in
Absolutely.
5 years, we're gonna have to say, what are we gonna do with all these pickleball courts?
I know.
Oh, boy.
Yes, for real.
There were some real active games going on. I was driving in. Made me smile.
All right, next we have environmental stewardship.
Oh, I got one.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say Achilles tendon.
All right, so what do y'all have for environmental stewardship? What are some goals you'd like in 5 years?
Eliminating single-use
Yes.
Plastic.
plastics, foam.
Plastic bags.
Yeah.
A really cohesive environmental sustainability plan for the business community. So not just focusing on the consumers, like I said before,
Yeah.
putting the responsibility on the production side, not on the consuming side.
Maybe we can put some health aspects of the environmental portion of it under health of PFOAs and cancerous hazardous materials to human health.
EV chargers.
Yeah.
So we adopted the Greenest Region Compact,
Uh-huh.
and there's so many goals in there, we just need to follow it.
So follow
And we need
green, so
to,
that should be
we
in
need
there
to chart
then.
our progress, we need to, you know, list our wins.
Right.
With verifiable, metrics.
Right.
Remember, Darcy, I confused you for one. I confused your statement from once I said EV chargers after I said what's hazardous to human health.
Well, that's
You said,
EV
oh,
So I was talking to her, not
I'm like,
We need to make sure we identify the pros and cons of those steps also, the pros and cons of going in a direction, and evaluate which is the best direction to go in.
and also make it affordable for everybody, easier and affordable.
Some type of incentive, so we have to incentivize environmental sustainability. Give people a selfish reason to be environmentally sound, right?
Well, it's like
DuPage is
Batavia,
doing that.
10 cents a bag for shopping bags
Exactly.
now.
We just have to
We can't do that because
incentivize.
we're not home rule.
Yeah.
All right.
Change home rule.
Yeah.
Home rule.
Can we?
That's quality of life service.
Yeah, I think we're ready to
We
go.
need transportation.
Oh, okay.
Okay, really good.
Sheet for that.
Trade
Speaking of child
Extra one.
services, calling if I
Here
don't
we
get
go.
it.
All right, transportation.
Yep.
What do y'all want to accomplish in 5 years?
Covered bus stops. No, we don't.
Oh, sorry.
Very few.
I think, yeah, you're right.
What else?
So I see a lot of young people moving in communities because there's a certain lifestyle, and it's a lifestyle of having bike trails, a lifestyle of having
Yeah.
sidewalks, a lifestyle of getting from place A to place B without sadly getting on a bus. So I would think that we talk about buses and getting people to and from. I can tell you in Naperville, a lot of our buses aren't even used, going to the train stations. So the young people, if they're working 1 or 2 days in the city, they're more likely to want something more like a walking path, like a bike path, like something along that lifestyle versus what our generation was get on the train, get on the bus, get to work.
What
So
does,
that's a future.
what
Until
does
it's 20 below
public,
zero.
what does public transit look like in
Then they
5
wanna
years?
walk.
What does,
Well, we could say encourage public, using public transportation. Better encouraging.
Yes.
I'm gonna interject for 1 second on a slight technical legality. I need us to real quick, make a
I'm sorry,
motion to
Michael.
allow one person in for quorum purposes.
I'll say that.
Thank you. We're allowing member Garcia.
Well, we
Gotta
gotta
vote.
do the first, second, and then a vote.
No.
So we don't have to-
We don't need a motion?
No, you just appoint.
Never mind.
Welcome,
You
member
can't do a motion.
Garcia.
Yeah. You can't do a motion.
Sorry,
Yeah.
continue. My apologies.
Does that mean I can't go to the bathroom?
No.
That's what I
So what's your vision for actual public transit?
I would like to make it more efficient and timely. So then people are encouraged to use it.
And how about efficient and appealing? Or
Yeah, I like efficient and appealing, because I know in.
some people are like, ew.
I know,
you
in Naperville, I actually had a proposal to put together a trolley train down Washington Avenue like they have in San Francisco. I thought it was a great concept and people loved the idea, except there was no money. So then it got shut down. So that's the other thing, how do we have these goals, but if we don't have the funds available to do it, then.
Well, this is where we,
In 5 years.
right now, we're talking about what we want to do. What we want to do, right? And then there will be the marrying up of, well, what can
That'll
we
be
do?
the money
Right.
conversation.
Transportation and transportation deserts.
Good, yep.
What would that mean?
Access to transit and transportation
Yeah.
deserts.
Is there any goal around the types of transit that y'all would like to state? Is it buses, is it trains, is it small circular routes?
I would like to see more partnership with, like an Uber type.
Yeah.
Company, so that appeals more to suburban residents.
Yeah, so.
Well, we
Elmhurst
can't have
is
like a
actually doing that.
carpool lane everywhere, but something along those lines to try to get people to coordinate with others.
Yeah.
Also more awareness of transportation, public transit. I've heard
Yeah.
of people they don't know how to figure out the bus routes or the system or where they need to go
Get an answer.
or how they get there.
Yeah, I really think there should be more resources for like the individual mobility, like the Uber. So in Elmhurst, they're actually doing something called Go Grandparents. And
What's it called?
it's called Go
Grandparents?
Grandparents.
Oh.
And it's specifically for senior citizens to access Uber without necessarily having a smartphone or a mobile phone. So you're able to get your grandparents to wherever you want within the county.
We've got one left.
One more. So this is
Quality
the
of life.
quality of life services. This is y'all's really big
It's a
category.
big one, yeah.
What are your goals here over the next 5 years? What do you really, really want to achieve in this space? And remember, this is where you're talking about mental health and addiction services, the alignment of services to needs, high-level services, desirable to all families is down at the bottom.
I think we need to grow our mental health services. And we're already doing that with the CRS, with central or crisis. Like, I keep
Crisis
changing.
receiving.
I'd like to see more preventative health, mental health decisions,
Addiction.
policies where we could prevent mental health issues.
So with that, we're going to have the staff. More staff.
We need the research too.
We need the research.
Yeah, or
Absolutely.
even if staff can't do it, maybe we can promote or support those organizations that focus on education and prevention of, substance use and mental health concerns, that type of thing. Because you're right, we can't hire a whole staff.
Being more specific about growing mental health services, this is such a big goal to have a mental health clinic in every municipality or every region, area, maybe.
Every precinct. or
Right, every
district, yeah.
precinct or every
District.
district, there you go, every district, and also having the connections between those local mental health clinics with the school system.
Programs to focus on eliminating the stigma around mental health.
Yeah.
Jason, are you gonna lose quorum if I leave?
Trevor?
Yes.
Any other,
We're almost,
Again,
we're almost
yeah.
done.
I want
You
to
can
ask,
just appoint.
anything outside of the mental health realm you want to name as a goal in the high quality service?
I think I missed.
Senior
I
services.
think I missed the last one. So we're talking about mental health clinic in every district, with connections to the school system, then somebody said something after that.
I think I said something, but I don't remember.
Okay.
All right, it's,
Well, we can revisit.
we can, when there's a recording, we can
And
just.
under senior services, that needs to be a part of the life services also, the quality of life. We need to make sure that we have
Schools, but seniors.
senior services, senior.
I think we said preventing the stigma.
Yeah, that was it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Spot on.
that was it.
Or eliminating the stigma.
Anything on there that addresses the quality of life for seniors?
Yep, I'm putting it here right now.
If you have to go, we'll designate Michael. That'll be fine.
I got it.
So in a second when she walks out, just say.
I think it's a wrap.
Yeah.
We got what we needed from you. This is really good. We have the great material to go into tomorrow with. It's exactly what we need to go into tomorrow.
We didn't have to work for you.
You did. You
You're working with
We'll tell them that
professionals
tomorrow.
I'll send you my invoice.
Okay.
Yeah. Madam Director, because we will have to hear, can you just
Yes.
indicate Michael as.
Welcome,
The
member.
last thing you said, I
Yes.
wasn't.
Thank you, and
I don't
then you can
remember
do
what
all
it
this.
Welcome,
Was it
member
zoning or was it-
Childress. We still have quorum. If I could have your attention, please, so we can.
I don't remember, but I was like, yes,
Member
yes, yes.
Rutledge, order.
I thought we were done, I'm sorry.
Do we
You
have,
have the journal.
do we have any old business? Do we have any new business? All right, well, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?